morning, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Technology is great when it works the way it's supposed to, and not so great when it doesn't. So we'll go ahead and get started here. First, I want to talk about the power of attorney. I just met with the reason I'm doing this is because I just met with my attorney to update my estate planning. And my attorney basically made the assumption that, oh no, when you do your power of attorney, when I do your power of attorney for you, everybody will honor it. The bank will honor it. Your brokerage will honor it. And most that I'd have to do is go back and just reauthorize it or re-notarize it. And guys, is that the case? Well, let's take a look here. Can a bank refuse a power of attorney? And this is, again, just last year. Financial power of attorney is an extremely helpful legal document when you have no longer managed your financial affairs due to illness and incapacity. You name a trusted person to act as your agent, It's significant responsibility because the agent can access your money and bind contracts, but they have a fiduciary duty to act in your best interest. However, there are many cases when a bank financial institution rejects a valid power of attorney. It can be extremely frustrating when there's a family emergency and plans put in place beforehand don't work as expected. For example, you are an adult child and your mother needs access to bank accounts to pay bills. You no longer manage them, but the bank refuses to honor the power of attorney. Recently, Kristen McDermott ran into this problem, Vanguard, when Vanguard and USAA didn't honor their mother's power of attorney document. Even though she obtained a valid power of attorney document from her mother, when she had a sound mind, she couldn't use it when her mother subsequently had dementia. Vanguard rejected her valid POA in favor of their own in-house POA form, the Vanguard Agent Authorization Form. And the issue with USAA, it only works with military members. Her mother is a member. McDermott was not. So guys, yes, we emphasize that it does not work with Social Security, but it does not work with banks. It does not work with brokerages. It does not work with insurance companies either. Why? We've talked about this before. Why? And maybe you can help me out, Allie, here. In the technical difficulties, guys, I cannot see what you're answering when I ask you a question, so Allie's going to help me here. So why did we find out that banks and brokerages conveniently, after decades and decades and decades, 100 years, they honored powers of attorney, and here about 15 years ago, all of a sudden, a little bank in Kansas tried this out and quit honoring powers of attorney. So why are they not honoring the powers of attorney? Why is Vanguard and USA not honoring the power of attorney? I know what they say. I know the reason they say, which is BS, because for 100 years they honored it, but then all of a sudden they quit honoring it because all of a sudden now they're worried about something. So we'll talk about what they say they're worried about here in a second. But what's the real reason? What is the real reason they don't want to honor the powers of attorney? So we getting any answers, Allie?
Yeah, we got owned form of their S, keep money, and hold funds.
Yeah, it's keep money. It's hold funds. That's why they want to keep the money as long as possible. And again, with just one account, maybe not a big deal. But when they're doing this to everybody, that's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that they do this to every single year to hold on that money so they can make money on it. Now they say, oh, we want to make sure it's the right power of attorney. Oh, we're just protecting the holder. Guys, if somebody signed a power of attorney, they've said, I want this person to handle my affairs. It worked for 100 years. They're not doing it to protect the holder of it. They're doing it because they want to hold the money. So besides having the Social Security form filled out so we can help them make sure it works with Social Security, we also need to approach every bank and every brokerage that they have to make sure they honor that as well and get it. And when you do that, you get the name, you get the date, you get the time. So it's Joni Smith from USAA on December 9th at 9:08 a.m. said that they will honor the power of attorney. It's amazing, amazing, amazing when they don't honor the power of attorney, and you could do all these places to record their phone calls. Yes, they do. So it's amazing when you say, listen, I talked to Joni Smith on December 9th, 2024 at 9:08 a.m. Go back and check it's amazing. Guess what they'll magically do at that point? What will they magically do at that point? They'll honor it. Or when I call USA, they say, no, you need this form. Well, then have that form filled out for your client. And guys, how many advisors are doing this with their clients? How many advisors that work at Vanguard are making sure that clients, and if you can give me some of the answers to this, Allie. So guys, how many advisors who work with Vanguard are making sure that their clients have the Vanguard special form?
All right, we have an answer. We
Most
got
are
0
virtual.
to
Yeah.
none,
What do you say,
sorry.
Nellie?
0 to none.
Yeah. Yeah. 0 to none. So guys, you can be a hero. And so again, with our 21-point checklist, it seems like, well, these things, yeah, I guess they're important. Guys, you make them important. The scripts make them important. But in reality, not only do the scripts make them important, they are important. And should you be leveraging these things? Yes, 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 yes. Make sense? So it's not just Social Security, it's every single account that has money. You should be talking to that entity, logging it with time, date, and person that you talk to make sure that that works. So again, reasons why banks may refuse power of attorney, this is all BS. We're afraid of getting sued. We have our own form. We are familiar with your document. Well, we need agent certification. Banks do not see particular language. No, this is what they say, but the real reason is what? They want to hold the money longer, or they wouldn't, they weren't worried about these things for 100 years. It was only 15 years ago when a little bank in Kansas did this to a poor farmer's wife, and then opened the floodgates to that every bank and every bank and brokerage now play this silly game. So make sure you have this done with your client. How to make sure your power of attorney is enforceable? Check with your bank or financial institution. If they want their own form used, then get their form in your records. Use legal services that mirror state laws. Start a legal action. Again, you don't want to do this. You don't want to start a legal action. You want it to be easy, because the last thing somebody wants when mom is not able to handle her own affairs, and the bills are stacking up, and there's threats going on because she's not paying her bills, is to have to go through a legal action. To do it up front. It's a lot easier to take care of things up front. Make sense? Okay. This favorite Warren Buffett metric tells us the stock market crash could be coming. So one of Warren Buffett's favorite valuation metrics is now at an all-time high. So without question, Warren Buffett and the rest of Berkshire Hathaway's investment team incorporate many different metrics when evaluating. So it's not just this one metric. They have many different metrics, but this is a one that Buffett himself has mentioned is the best indicator of stock valuation. It is appropriately named or nicknamed the Buffett indicator in the investment community. Here's what the Buffett indicator is and why it may be signaling the stock market is a bit overheated. So the Buffett indicator is right now it says that the market is significantly overvalued according to Buffett indicator based on the historical ratio of total market cap, so what the total stock market is worth, divided by the general or the gross domestic product. So total market value over GDP. It's likely that a return of 0.4% a year from this level of valuation, including dividends. Not just over the next year, but going forward. So meanwhile, based on the historical ratio of newly introduced total market cap over GDP plus total assets of Federal Reserve, it's still significantly overvalued. In fact, we're in record territory. So this is record territory. So this is U.S. stock market. This is the U.S. stock market cap over GDP. Where are we right now, guys? And this is going back to 1997. So we are what? In record territory. So what should you be doing with your clients? We've talked about this over and over and over again. What should you be doing with your clients? Making sure they have what? At least a 50-50 portfolio. So is this reliable? To be clear, no stock market metrics are 100% reliable at predicting corrections, crashes, rallies, or stagnant stock markets. After all, if this were the case, wouldn't everyone just do exactly what those metrics said? That being said, the indicator, this Buffett indicator, while not flawless, does tend to peak during hot stock markets and bottom during weak markets. Is that the case, guys? Would you have liked to have invested? Would you have liked to have sold right here in 1999 or the beginning of 2000? Would you like to have bought in 2004? Would you like to have bought more in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yes, of course you would have. So as a general rule, if the indicator falls between 80 or 90% or so, it has a historically signaled stocks are cheap. So when it's down here, stocks are cheap. When it's up here, stocks are expensive. On the other hand, levels significantly higher than 100% can indicate stocks are expensive. Okay, so Harvard Business Review talks about what makes people successful. So when you ask what Harvard Business Review talked about how you make yourself successful by asking questions. So when you ask a question, stop, wait, and allow the person to digest and respond. So the way I communicate, guys, and the speed at which I talk and the speed at which I try to get information out there, do you think that I talk this way to clients? At this speed, at this level, do I talk to you guys the same as I talk to clients? No. Because first of all, our clients are generally retired. And is our hearing as good as it was back when we were 20 years old? No. When we were 30, 40, 50 years? No. Hearing gets significantly worse. My hearing is worse. Sometimes if somebody says something, it takes a second or two because I've missed 3 or 4 words for me to use the context to fill in those words to figure out what that person actually said. Have any of you that are older experienced that? Well, that's what our clients are experiencing. So many times when they ask a question, 2 things are happening. First, they missed 2 or 3 of the words, and they have to use context to figure out what was the question. And then they have to actually formulate an answer to that question. So when you ask a question, look at their eyes, watch their facial features, and determine whether they're really confused and don't know the answer to something, or whether they're just processing the question. Now, if it's very apparent that they're confused and they don't know the answer to the question, what do we do then, guys? We fall on the sword, jump in, and apologize for asking such a dumb question. And it was a dumb question. If we ask a question they don't know the answer to, it was a dumb question because we didn't set the question up in a very, very easy to answer manner. So we're going to apologize. Say, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I asked that question. That's how could anybody answer that question? I apologize. Because if you don't have the information, how can you possibly answer that question? So I apologize for that. What I really meant was, and then I go and ask a simpler question and a simpler question and a simpler question to build up so they can answer that more maybe complicated or in-depth question. So when you ask a question, stop, take a breath, and allow that person to answer. Pay attention to see whether that person is just processing the what you said and the answer, or whether they're really panicked with deer in the headlights and don't know the answer to that. If they don't know the answer, then jump in, fall on the sword, and apologize. But just don't immediately. And I've listened to tapes where guys will answer a question and they give that person a half a second before they jump in and start blabbing. No. Give the person a chance to speak. For example, one of the best ways to do this is by following up a closed-ended question with an answer that says yes or no with the question, can you tell me why? So guys, do we teach it? So are we teaching you what Harvard Business School basically tells you to do, which is say what? I make mistakes because we're supposed to ask open-ended after open-ended after open-ended questions. I make mistakes all the time where I would ask a closed-ended question. But when I hear yes or no, I have a trigger because of my 15-minute drills that I still do every day. I have a trigger that when I hear the word yes or no, an alarm goes off in my brain saying, oh, wrong kind of question. I need to follow that up with an open-ended question because a yes or a no means nothing. I need them to say in their own words whatever it is that I'm trying to communicate. Make sense? Get the sequence right. One of the most interesting findings of the research was that the order of the questions has a significant effect on how people respond. For example, if gaining insight and just getting information, so if you're a policeman and all you want is information, you're not trying to form a long-term relationship, you just want the information as fast and as effectively as you can get it, regardless of whether it's a long-term relationship, is the objective, and that's the objective, then starting with the toughest or most invasive question is the preferred method. Guys, is that the kind of questions we're answering? We don't care about a long-term relationship. We just want the answer right now, the information right now. We don't care what it does to our relationship. Is that what we're trying to do with our clients? Absolutely not. So instead, we want to do what we do, which is to use the foot in the door. That's going to fail. However, in relationship building, the opposite is true. We need to build up the intimacy, trust, and transparency. We use the foot in the door mentality. The foot in the door mentality, which is what? Do we start off with the aggressive things, showing the guy stealing from them? Or do we start off with things that really, are nice, but not such a big deal? Every template that we have for every script, do we start out saying, look at your guy screwing you? Or do we always say the first thing we do is to compliment them on what they've done with that particular thing? Oh, great, I see that you have a power of attorney. Oh, great, I see that you're diversified. Oh, great, I see that you have beneficiaries. We start out complimenting them. Then we use a real life example that has nothing to do with their money. So you guys see how we use this mentality constantly in the script. That's the great thing is it took me 2 years to make this script. It took me another 2 years once I started coaching guys to make the script work so it works for not just Mike, but for every single person out there. But it's been now fine-honed and tuned for the last 25 years, a quarter of a century, and it works as good now as it did back then. In fact, it works better than when I was doing it because it's been fine-tuned to the point it's at. So you don't have to know how to do these things. The questions do these things for you. But I do show you this kind of research, so you know what we're doing is not just something Mike said. It's something that has been based in lots of research that it actually works. So start small, build big. Isn't that what we do with the 21-point checklist? Isn't that what we do with every single script within the 21-point checklist? We start small, we build big, and that's what builds the relationship. Also, use the right tone. Of all the things we do to help open or shut down a conversation, the tone has to be the most critical. Fine and pure is exactly what you expect. People are more forthcoming when you ask questions in a casual rather than a buttoned-up official tone. Guys, when you listen to me, do I sound, when I'm doing role-playing, would you say that I sound professional or I sound pretty loose and loosey-goosey and casual when I'm using the script? Do I talk like this and say, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith, why do we have many different investments instead of just one investment? That is correct. That is why we do that. It's for diversification. Is that how I do it? And many guys, when they first come on, really have a problem because they think, I need to sound professional. Guys, when I'm doing a script, heck, even with you guys, would anybody ever accuse me of sounding professional? And Allie, give me some answers to this. Would anybody ever accuse me of sounding professional?
No answers yet.
Come on, guys, yes or no? Y or N?
We gotta know.
Are you?
We got 2 no's.
Okay, well, I'll take that one no. Okay. No, I don't sound professional. I talk, I laugh a lot. I talk slow. I exaggerate. I talk loud. I talk fast. I talk slow again. And what I'm doing there is what? The same way you would have a conversation at the backyard barbecue. What people are more forthcoming when you ask questions in a casual way rather than a buttoned-up official tone. That's what we do. Expert opinion by Thomas Kalopoulos, founder of Delphi Group. We all want to feel someone is interested in us. We all want to share that that which we feel is uniquely us, the things that make us valuable people. We all want to connect with people who are trustworthy. We all want others to see us as trustworthy. In a word, ask the right question. It is really that simple. Don't complicate it. So guys, what we do is there's research upon research upon research saying that what we do and how we do it is the absolute best proven way to communicate with folks. Make sense? We've forgotten more than we ever know. I've talked about this book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, probably 10 times, about every couple of years, 10 times in the last 20-some years. So many of you have heard this over and over and over again. But just as myself, even redoing this topic, it reminds me of things that I have forgotten. So what are the 7 habits of highly effective people? And this is something, we're in December now. January begins the best 3 months. January, February, March are the best times to market, the best time to bring in new clients. So right now, we should be prepping to make sure we're set up to do that. So let's make sure we're effective going into 2025. So he has a chart here. Dependence being, well, let me ask you a question. Dependence, independence, or interdependence? Which one of these things is best? Most people would guess what? Well, obviously, I don't want to be dependent. But I also don't want to be interdependent, depending on other people. I want to be what? Independent. Is that the case? Yea or nay? Do we want to be independent? Yea or nay? In our business.
We got a yes. And then a
We
no.
do not. See that?
And then a yes.
Yeah. So I was when I first thought about this, I was with the yes. It's like, no, we need to be independent. We can't be beholden to anybody. But in reality, to be an effective person, it is no. You don't want to be independent. You want to be interdependent, because we can't be successful by ourselves, or we would have no clients. We can't be successful by ourselves, or we would have no support staff. We can't be successful by ourselves, or we would have no professional at ECA to help us succeed. So we need to be interdependent. So dependent begins with the end in mind. Be proactive. We're going to move up here. Put things first. Think win-win, not I'm going to win. I'm going to get that person's money. I'm going to make a commission. I'm going to get more money under management. No, it's got to be a win-win. I'm going to help these people, and because I'm helping them, they're going to want to work with me. You don't want a private victory. You want a public victory. I'm going to first seek to understand, which is what the whole 5G process is about, then to be understood, and that's going to synergize the whole process. So how do we do that? First, number one, be proactive. I'm in charge of me. So what's an example of being in charge of you? Well, are you doing your 15-minute drill every day? Guys, will your life change? Will you lose business if instead of picking up the phone, grabbing coffee, looking at and reading newspapers, doing your email, if instead you spend the first 15 minutes getting better at getting on people's side, gassing people? No, it's not. Be proactive. Be in charge of you. Take the initiative. Be responsible. Again, write down the 15-minute drill. Learn the scripts, being responsible. I do the right thing without being asked, even when no one is looking. By doing the 21-point checklist, it makes you do the right thing. Instead of just going for the money, instead of just going for more money under management, instead of just going for the commission, we do things we don't get paid for first. The 21-point checklist ensures that. I choose my actions, attitudes, and moods. Guys, I am not generally a happy person. So I've got a big sign that hangs right down from my doorway that says, choose. Well, here, I'll read it. I'll read exactly what it says. Count your blessings, not your troubles. Choose to be happy. Because, guys, I'm always thinking, oh, this is wrong, or this person shorted me, or whatever. No. You're in charge of your moods, actions, and attitudes. Be happy. Nobody wants to be around unhappy people. You want to boil down how to win friends and influence people. The best book ever written on how to become a successful human being. You boil that down, it's never criticize, condemn, or complain. Always be happy and care about other people. You do that, and all those other things that are in that book boil down to that. Choose your actions, choose your attitudes, choose your moods. Do not blame others for my wrong actions. Guys, that was the biggest thing. That is why I was able to go from making $50,000 a year for 8 years to making, within 3 years, making $1 million a year in a very small marketplace. Why? Because I started, instead of 8 years blaming the market, blaming the clients. Oh, these people are all stupid. They all go back to their other guy with my ideas. Instead of blaming everybody but myself, I started to tape my meetings, and I found out I wasn't the one responsible for making $50,000 a year. And the great thing is, I could start. There's one person I can control. That's me. I could start to make those changes. Be proactive. And I started to listen to these tapes over and over again, so I was better at the next meeting. I was being proactive, not reactive. Because guys, if you lose a client, how easy? If you lose a client or you lose a prospect, how difficult is it to get them back? Virtually impossible. I never try to get people back because it's too much work and very, very little success. So that's habit one. Be proactive. Practice success habit number one, challenge yourself to test the principle of proactivity by doing the following. Start replacing reactive language with proactive language. Just saying, he makes me so mad. They make me so mad. Global insurance makes me so mad. That client makes me so mad. That competitor makes me so mad. No, I control my own feelings. You don't have to be mad at what they're doing. Convert reactive tasks into proactive ones. Second habit, begin with the end in mind. I plan ahead and set goals for myself. I don't, guys, do I like goals? And Al, give me the answer. Do I like goals? Yay or nay? Yay or nay, yay or nay?
No, no,
No, I
and
hate
nay.
goals. I hate goals. I hate goals. Goals are terrible because if I set a goal of making $1 million a year and I'm only at 100,000 by June, what do I do with that goal? I throw it away. No. What I do is reverse engineer. So I do agree with begin with the end in mind. I want to know how much I want to make. I want to know, and what I'm going to do is reverse engineer that. Okay, well then, how much do I make an average per client? Okay, that means I need 1 million divided by that number to figure out how many new clients I have. Okay, when I market, how many clients do I bring on per marketing episode, whether it's direct mail, a seminar, or whatever it may be? How many do I bring on per marketing episode? Well, okay, well then that means I have to do this many. So I do begin with the end in mind. I don't have goals. What I do is start with the end in mind and then reverse engineer it to say, okay, this is the actions I have to take in order to make that end, that thing I want to happen in the end to happen. If I have an action plan and by March it's not producing, I thought I needed to bring on 15 new clients per quarter and I'm only at 7, well, that tells me either number one, I have to really evaluate how much I make per client, or I have to reevaluate how many my closing ratio that I actually thought I had, or I have to reevaluate my marketing to figure out why did it work last year but not this year? I can change that action plan. With goals, I'm like, oh, I guess it's not working. I guess I'll throw that out and start all over again. No. So plan ahead, I agree with it, but reverse engineer. Don't set goals. Reverse engineer and set an action plan. Action plans you can modify. Be prepared at all times. Again, the 5Q process, make sure that you're prepared at all times. It does it for you if you pay attention. I think about how the choices I make will now affect my future. Guys, if you choose not to do a 15-minute drill, are you really serious about your success? Are you really serious about making more money this year? If you refuse to learn the scripts, are you serious? Are you serious about becoming successful? No. And guys, you're not going to become more successful just by doing what you're doing. I think about the positive or negative consequences of my action before I act. I came in today, I really don't feel like doing the 15-minute drill. Okay, that's okay. Don't do it then. But if you're not going to do it, think about the positive. Oh, good, I have 15 minutes to get more coffee. Oh, good, I have 15 minutes I don't have to work my brain. Oh, good, I can answer my emails 15 minutes earlier. Or the negative consequences. Oh, crap, but if I don't do it, even though I don't feel like doing it, if I don't do it, I'm not going to get any better today than I was yesterday. I might screw up one of these things the next time I meet with people. I am not really dedicated as I thought I was at getting better and making my practice more successful. It's okay if you don't do something, but you should think about the positive reason for not doing it and the negative reason for not doing it. Or if you do something, think about the positive reasons you are doing something and the negative consequences of doing that thing. Make sense? So, success habit number 2, challenge yourself to test the principles of beginning with the end in mind by doing the following. Visualize in rich detail your own funeral. Who is there? What are they saying about you? About how you lived your life, about the relationships you had, about what do you want them to say? Think about how your priorities would change if you only had 30 more days to live. Start by living by these priorities. Break down different roles in your life. Your professional role, your role in personal relationships, the role that you have in your community. List the 3 to 5 goals you want to achieve for each. Define what scares you. Does public speaking scare you? Critical feedback, does critical feedback scare you? Just writing down the worst case scenario for your biggest fear. Then visualize how you'll handle that situation. Write down exactly how you'll handle public speaking, how you'll handle when somebody gives you feedback on how to become a better person or whatever you may do. Habit number 3, put first things first. First work, then play. I do the things that I have to do before the things I want to do. Guys, I have to do my 15-minute drill. I have to learn the script. I want to read that book on investing. I want to read the Wall Street Journal. I want to look at my email in case there's something interesting in there. Those are things you want to do. The things you need to do are things that are going to make you better at your job. Same thing in your personal life. Not what you have to do. What you do the things you have to do first, then When those things are done, do the things I want to do. I stay focused on what I'm doing. I try to, guys, when you're doing the 15-minute drill, when you're learning the scripts, where should your phone be? When you're with a client, where should your phone be? Where should your email be? Stay focused on what you're doing. Try to minimize distractions, regroup if I get off task. And for God's sake, guys, you should absolutely, there are lots of apps that do this now. You need to have an accounting of how much time you spend on social media, Reddit, the news sites. We convince ourselves when we're on the news sites during the workday, we're actually doing work. Guys, if you're on the news, is there any news you need while you're in the workday? Is there any news that you'll get during the workday that will change what you're doing today? And Alex, can you give me yeas or nays? Is there anything that could happen in the news that would change what you're doing today or make your practice better? Yay or nay?
You gotta, no.
No.
Okay,
No.
yes.
So how much should you be looking at the news while you're at work? If you're interested in the news, look at outside of work. Because many times guys will read newspapers, look at their news feeds. Hey, guys, I'm the pot calling the kettle black. But when I'm doing that, I'm not being more successful. I'm being less successful. I'm doing it because I'm lazy. I'm doing it because it's fun. It's interesting. I'm doing it because it means I can do that instead of something that is more difficult that'll actually make me a better person. Spend most of your time on things that are important, and looking at the news all day long or your social media or your email is not going to make you more successful. Not the important things. Getting better at your skills, getting better at GOTS, getting better at the scripts, that's what's going to make you better. And again, all these things apply to things outside of work as well. But I'm your coach on how to get more successful. So I'm applying this to how you make your practice more successful. Practice success habit number 3. Here's some of the ways you can practice putting things first. Identify a quadrant 2 activity. And again, this is all in the book. You've been neglecting. Write it down and commit to implementing it. So quadrant 2 is basically important things. Things are going to make you a better person. Create your own time management matrix to prioritizing. Estimate how much time you spend in each quadrant. So this is something you can get the book, or if you research online, I can spend a whole hour on this. But basically, it's just, I'll tell you what, the quadrant 2 activities with 5Q is learning the scripts, doing the 15-minute drill, and taping your meetings and reviewing your meetings. That's the quadrant 2 activities. Habit 4, think win-win. Everybody can win. I'm not bringing on a client to get more assets under management. I'm not bringing on a client to make a commission. I'm bringing on a client because I'm going to help them safeguard their family, their emotions, and their assets by helping them with things, whether I get paid to do it or not. Everybody can win. I can problem solve when an issue comes up with another person. I think about what other people want, not just what I want. I am kind to others. I'm kind to others and try to think of ways to help everyone be happy. Success habit number 4, get yourself to start thinking win-win with each other. Think about an upcoming interaction where you'll be attempting to reach agreement or solution. Guys, 5Q process. Identify 3 important relationships in your life. Think about what you feel, the balance in each one of these relationships. Are you taking more or giving more, or is it a good balance? Do you take more than you, do you give more than you take? Do you take more than you give? Write down 10 ways to always give more than you take. And here's the funny thing, guys. When you give more than you take, karma always works in your favor. You will get more back, even though you're not trying. Deeply consider your own interaction tendencies. Do they tend to be win-lose? Or you're like, oh, I got a new client. I got to get that new client. I got to take that client away from the other advisor. Is it very competitive, or is it very interdependent where you think, I want to bring this person on because I know I can help them? Where is your attitude when it comes to your business? Can you identify the source of that approach? Determine whether or not this approach serves you well in your relationships and write it all down. There's so much power. And again, I'm the pot calling the kettle black. I hate writing stuff down, but if I'm serious about something, write it down. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Seek first to know what's going on in their mind before you tell them what's going on in yours. Listen before you talk. I'm confident in voicing my ideas. I look people in the eyes when I'm talking. Guys, this is a huge thing. Look people in the eyes. I listen to other people's ideas and feelings. That's what all of our open-ended questions are about. I try to see things from other points of view. That's what Gotzing is about. That's what Gotzing is about. It's all about trying to see things from the other person's point of view. And I listen to others without interrupting. Again, guys, pot calling the kettle black. You want to go through problems? I have all of the problems that I have to overcome by concentrating on these things. So how can you create a habit? A few ways to get yourself in the habit of thinking. First, next time you're watching two people communicating, cover your ears and watch. This is such a powerful thing. Next time you're watching two people communicating, cover your ears and watch. What emotions are being communicated? Look at their facial features. Watch their body language. What kind of emotions are being communicated that might not come across through words alone? Was one person or the other person more interested in the conversation? Write down what you noticed. This is a fantastic exercise. You can do it while you're at lunch at Panera's. You can do it while you're at church and you're bored with what's going on around you. You can do this any place where people gather. It's a fantastic. You don't have to cover your ears because many times the people you're watching are far enough away you don't know what they're saying anyways. Then also, next time you give a presentation, root it in empathy. Begin by describing the audience's point of view in great detail. What problems are they facing? What is it that you're about to offer solutions to the problems? This is Gotzing, guys. Gotzing. That's why the 15-minute drill is so important. Habit number 6, synergize. Together is always better. I value other people's strengths and learn from them. Gotzing. I get along with others even when people are different than me. Gotzing. I work well in groups. I seek out other people's ideas to solve problems because I know that by teaming with others, we can create better solutions than anyone else. That's the 21-point checklist, asking open-ended questions, letting the client solve their own problems. And I am humble. How do you do that? Make a list of people who irritate you. Now, choose just one person. Don't have to do it all whole list. Choose one person. How are their views different than you? Put yourself in their shoes for 1 minute. Think and pretend how it feels to be them. Does this help you understand them better? Again, this is Gotzing, guys. Remember, when we get an objection, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes telling them why they're right about what they said. If they say annuities are horrible, I'm going to tell them 5 minutes why annuities are horrible. If they say having an advisor is horrible, I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes telling them why having an advisor is horrible. It gets me in their shoes. It gets me thinking about the way they think. And guys, we have tons of training on the website that shows you that once you don't worry about it. If you spend 5 minutes telling them that they're right, their point of view of the world is absolutely right, first of all, it lowers the fight. And they thought you were going to fight them. You didn't. Instead, you agree with them. Not only did you agree with them, you said, I'm the poster child for what you're saying there. You're not kind of right. You're 100% right. You're 1,000% right. Let me tell you why you're right. What happens to their fight-flight? What happens to their resistance? What happens to their listening to you? They want to listen to you because you're telling them they're right. You're telling them they're a genius. That's going to get them on your side. And once they're on your side, will they listen to reason at that point? And when you start at that point, after 5 minutes of telling them they're absolutely right, start asking open-ended questions about your point of view and let them come to their own conclusions. They can forget what they said in the first place and come around to your point of view. We have tons of training on the website to help you do that. Now, that's an example of how, and believe me, is that person irritating you when they give you an objection? I know they irritated me. That's why the first thing out of my mouth is absolutely. So I don't say something else stupid, because by giving me an objection, they were irritating me. So how I stopped myself from putting my foot in my mouth was to say absolutely, and I would take a breath and then get me into the track and say, okay, I got to tell them that they're right. I got to come up with reasons why they're right. I got to get into their shoes. I have to tell them not only are they a little right, they're 1,000% right. And it goes from them being irritating to me thinking, oh, they're not irritating. What they're thinking is absolutely right. See, that's a great example of that. Now, also make a list of people with whom you get along. Choose just one person. How are their views different? Now, write down a situation you had an excellent teamwork and synergy. Why did you love that teamwork? Why did you love that synergy? What conditions were met to reach such fluidity in your interactions? How can you recreate those with other people, especially people that irritate you? Now, next time you're in a disagreement with that person, try to understand their concerns, why they disagree with you. The better you can understand them, the easier it will be to change their mind or yours. Guys, this is all what Gotzing is about. Number 7, sharpen the saw, meaning your whole physicality and mental being. Work out, eat right, get enough sleep. That's the physical. Mental and cognitive, which meditate. Take time in your day to set aside to be calm. Meditation is the best way to be calm. There are other ways to do it as well, to be calm. Spiritual. Find that thing in your life, the upper, the higher being that you believe in, and spend time building that relationship. Emotional, social. Make sure you've got your friends and your family close. And feed the golden goose. I would say this is get better at your business. Make a list of it. How do you do that? What habits? Well, make a list of activities that would help you renew yourself along each of the 4 dimensions. Select one activity for each dimension. 1, 2, 3, 4. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. Select one activity for each dimension listed as a goal for the upcoming week. At the end of the week, evaluate your performance. What led you? Again, guys, this is worthless unless at the end you evaluate yourself. Having a meeting with a client is worthless unless you taped it and at the end you evaluate yourself. Doing the 15-minute drill is worthless unless you evaluate how you did that. So doing something is worthless unless you're actually evaluating yourself so you can get better at that thing. What led you to success or fail to accomplish each goal? Number 2, commit to writing down a specific sharpen the saw activity in all 4 dimensions every week to do them, to evaluate your performance and results. Guys, this is how you're going to get better at your business. It's how you're going to get better as a human being. When you mastered those things and the crib notes and motives for all the scripts, and you're doing that 50-minute drill and getting your got, that's when you're going to start to bring on every client you want. Make sense? Awesome. Well, you guys, please take what we talked about today to heart. Get better at these things. Become a more effective person. Because maybe you don't want to make $2 million a year, which you could with the 5T process, but you're not interested in that. Well then, because you're going to have to work 40 hours a week to do that. But the thing is, while you're at the office, you're at the office. So make sure that when you're at the office, you're being effective. Make sure that if you're spending 20 hours a week, that 20 hours a week is making you $500,000 a year. You don't need to make $2 million a year if you don't want to, but make sure when you're at the office, you're actually being effective so that time you're spent there away from your family, away from your hobbies, away from your fun, away from your friends, make sure that when you're at work, you're being effective and making the most money possible and being the best person you can be to your clients. Make sense? Awesome, awesome. Well, you guys have a fantastic rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.